Greetings and welcome aboard to the heavy metal. Greetings and welcome aboard to the Heavy Metal Truckers. We are your hosts. I am Pincushion, that is Doppler, and that is Frosty. And in this one, we are checking out the latest single from Belphegor, which, good lord, they just put out an album like, what, a couple years ago now? Not even? It seemed like.
Who?
Belphegor. It wasn't long they put out the Devils, I didn't think. But I don't know. But this single is called Sanctus Diaboli. Wait. Okay, Sanctus Diaboli Confidimus. Because it's not black metal without just making a track title Latin. Thoughts, Lamentations?
Different than what I normally listen to. Really different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of it. I kind of felt like it was dragging on throughout the majority of it, but it's probably my thing with that kind of style of metal.
Yeah.
I felt like if it had like a little bit more of like a tempo or something, maybe it probably would have.
So in other words, a little bit faster?
Like, done a little better for me. Yeah, like if it was a little faster, I feel like I probably could have potentially have gotten something from it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not for me.
Gotcha. Doppler.
So it's interesting. I kind of watched. So I listened to the song from a musical standpoint, or like a metal fan standpoint, but the music video, I was watching it as like if I was somebody who wasn't a metalhead coming, like who knew nothing about metal and was watching it, and I couldn't help but think like how stupid we all must look as people who don't like know anything about metal music and come back and watch and look at that. They're like, you know, it looks like a bunch of idiots dressing up in cosplay or something to try to look scary and creepy, and
yeah,
it was kind of funny. No, but anyway, from a musical standpoint, this one was a hard one for me to really do a proper review on because, as I've mentioned before, the sound quality at times, the things depend on the song, but going from your screen share to my headset isn't always the greatest.
No, it won't be.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
And with this song, it was really noticeable because anytime that there were vocals in it, the whole thing got really muddy for me. So it was really hard for me to get a good grasp on what was going on with the songs when the vocal was going on. Now, when there weren't any vocals, I could hear the music fine.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I liked it. I mean, you know, unlike Frosty, he would have liked it was faster. Although I like the slower pace, especially when you mix it with that more gothic, you know, background style going with it.
Yeah,
it gives it a good atmosphere, which I've always kind of liked that gothic, slower, borderline doom and almost.
Yeah, I know. What you mean.
Or sludge, even, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, I liked it. You know, like it was decent. You know, just hard for me to really say about the whole thing in a whole because when his vocals would come in, everything kind of mudded together for me. So it's something I'm gonna have to listen to on my own again. But overall, despite that, you know, I thought it was decent. I mean, it wasn't bad. I liked the atmosphere it had. Yeah, I mean, it was decent.
Gotcha. I've been could I call myself a fan? If not a fan, I've greatly enjoyed Belphegor's work for a long time, and I like him talking like when Conjuring the Dead come out. It's been a while. I mean, they've been around for a good many years. 2014. Okay, so yeah, roughly around that time is whenever. Holy shit, over a decade. Okay, well, it's longer than I thought it was. It's interesting because back then they were way more just aggressive, just pummeling, blast beats galore, and they were just absolutely in your face, and the vocals were just deadly. And then it seems like since the last album they had, the Devils, they've gone, well, I don't know if it's just a thing with all black metal groups now, because it's been Belphegor, which was the last group I thought would kind of go this direction. Belphegor, Watain, absolutely Behemoth. They've kind of drifted away from like a blackened death metal aspect, and they've gone more atmospheric in the sense of being a cult and focusing on the occult atmosphere. And it kind of just reminds me of back in the day whenever Anton LaVey was big, back in the 80s and a little bit before then. And his, like, whenever his church had like their dark hymns and whatnot, it was like you could have potentially thought it was just extreme black metal, or just extreme, like, just grueling death metal that just sounded diabolical. But it was farthest thing from that. It was a pipe organ, and they were just playing very eerie material, or at least the sun was at the time whenever they were doing their thing. It's kind of in the same way with this, like Watain as well. They go away from that more death metal aspect, and they've gone more to a just eerie occult atmosphere, and a focus more on almost a spirituality of Satanism, or anything regarding darker practices within the occult. I can't necessarily say Satanism. It is more just like the dark side of the occult, because there is a dark and light side. But I thought it was fascinating, and it's not that I didn't like it at all. It's just you have an idea of what a group's going to come across as, because you've loved where they were. You loved how they just stood out above the rest of what was kind of mainstream, and they provided to you an old school feel that was still grueling and grotesque. And then now it starts to feel like they're picking up the pace of not necessarily what's popular, but kind of what's going on within the community, basically, of, I guess you could say, black metal or black and death metal. And it's nice because they're kind of focusing more on kind of the occult in general, and almost, I don't want to say becoming wiser or whatever the case may be, but it's almost just kind of slowing things down and just appreciating for what it is, rather than just be absolutely pummeling. So they took a big step down in tempo whenever it came to the Devils. It's not my favorite album, but it's a good album nonetheless. I'm wondering if the next album they write, or the album they're in the process of writing, I'm wondering if it's going to be similar to that, but they step more into the atmospheric aspect of it, similar to like what Behemoth did. And they almost make it feel like a theatrical or a journey kind of concept. I don't know, and I don't know if this is just going to be like a ballad or just a spiritual piece on this upcoming record that I'm assuming they're writing. So, not what I expected. Not hating. Intrigued, I think, is the best way to put this, and what my thoughts are toward this. I'm intrigued, but yet what there was, it was fantastic. It's the first time I've heard chanting in a long time from Belphegor. But yeah, I think we'll just end it there, or else I'll keep on going on this weird spiel. But anyways, appreciate you guys for being here. We do appreciate you watching, and until next time, find us in the comments, and keep rolling heavy.